Have you ever found yourself caught in a cycle of negative thoughts that seem impossible to escape? Do you sometimes wonder why negativity seems to take over your mind, no matter how hard you try to stay positive? What if the key to breaking this cycle lies not in your external circumstances, but in how you approach your thoughts and emotions every single day? Imagine waking up in the morning feeling at peace with yourself, not weighed down by anxiety or self-doubt. Imagine walking through your day with a calm, clear mind, free from the constant chatter of negativity. How would your life change if you could truly remove all that mental clutter? Well, today we're going to explore how to do just that. By drawing on the wisdom of Buddhism, we will learn practical ways to remove negativity from our minds and create space for more positive, peaceful thoughts. This is not about pretending everything is perfect, but about transforming how we relate to our own minds. Welcome to Wisdom Woven, where we share insights and practical advice to help you live a calmer, more fulfilled life. In this video, we're going to dive into how you can free your mind from negativity, step by step. So, if you're ready to begin this journey to inner peace, stay with us throughout the video. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% subscribe. So please, like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel to get more valuable content like this, and let us know how this video has helped you. Now, let's begin by understanding what negativity really is and how it affects us. Understanding the root of negativity. Imagine you are walking through a dense forest with tangled branches and thorny bushes blocking your way. Each step is a struggle as you try to find a path, but every turn seems to lead to more obstacles. This is much like how negativity works in our minds. It doesn't appear out of nowhere, and it doesn't go away easily. Just like the dense forest, negativity is built over time, and understanding where it comes from is the first step in clearing the way for peace. So, what exactly is the root of negativity? Where does it come from? The truth is, negativity is often born from the very nature of human existence. The mind's tendency to grasp, fear, and resist. It's a natural part of being human, but it doesn't mean we have to accept it as a permanent part of our lives. Buddhism teaches us that the mind is constantly in motion, reacting to our surroundings, past experiences, and future worries. It's like a stream that keeps flowing, but sometimes the water gets clouded by debris, making it hard to see clearly. Negativity works in much the same way, clouding our judgment and preventing us from seeing the world as it truly is. At its core, negativity often arises from attachment, our desire to hold on to things, people, and experiences that we believe bring us happiness. When we lose these things, or when they don't go as we expect, our minds react with frustration, anger, or sadness. This attachment creates a kind of mental suffering that becomes the breeding ground for negativity. Another key source of negativity is fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of failure, fear of rejection. These are all common fears that can easily take over our minds. When fear takes root, it spreads like a weed, causing us to doubt ourselves and our abilities. It makes us hesitant to take risks, to move forward, or to trust in our own potential. But fear is often based on imagined outcomes, not reality. Most of the time, we fear things that may never happen, which only adds unnecessary stress and negativity to our lives. Then there's self-criticism. Many of us are our own harshest critics. We constantly judge ourselves for our mistakes, imperfections, and shortcomings. This inner critic, fueled by comparisons to others or impossible standards, often leads to feelings of inadequacy. Instead of embracing who we are and accepting ourselves with compassion, we become trapped in a cycle of negative self-talk. We tell ourselves we are not good enough, not worthy, or not capable of achieving our goals. But Buddhism reminds us that this kind of thinking is not helpful. In fact, it only reinforces negativity and makes it harder to see our true potential. And finally, there is ignorance. Not in the sense of being uneducated, but ignorance of the true nature of things. We often don't see the bigger picture. We get caught up in the moment and let small challenges become huge problems. We forget that everything is temporary and ever-changing. We forget that we are not our thoughts, emotions, or circumstances. We forget that we have the power to change the way we respond to life. This ignorance keeps us stuck in a loop of negativity, unable to break free. So, how do we deal with all of this? How can we begin to untangle the web of attachment, fear, self-criticism, and ignorance? The first step is simply awareness. We need to begin noticing when negativity enters our minds. Instead of letting it take over, we must observe it, acknowledge it, and ask ourselves why we are feeling this way. Is it because of a past experience, a fear of the future, or a belief that something is lacking in our lives? Understanding the root cause of our negativity is the first step toward healing it. Buddhism offers a powerful tool for this awareness: mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of paying attention to our thoughts, feelings, and actions in the present moment, without judgment. When we practice mindfulness, we begin to see the negative thoughts as just that, thoughts. They are not facts. They are not permanent. They are simply passing clouds in the sky of our minds. By observing them without attaching to them, we begin to loosen their grip on us. One of the simplest ways to practice mindfulness is through breathing exercises. When you feel negativity rising, take a moment to focus on your breath. Breathe in slowly, feeling the air fill your lungs, and then breathe out, releasing tension. As you do this, bring your attention fully to the present moment, letting go of worries and distractions. This simple practice can help you create space between your thoughts and your reactions, allowing you to choose a response that is more calm and thoughtful. Another key practice in Buddhism for overcoming negativity is meditation. Meditation helps us cultivate a peaceful, focused mind by training us to observe our thoughts without getting caught up in them. It is like sitting by a stream, watching the water flow by, without trying to control it or change it. By regularly meditating, we strengthen our ability to remain calm and grounded, even in the midst of life's challenges. Over time, this practice helps us build resilience against negative thoughts and emotions. But it's not enough to simply observe our negativity. We must also learn to transform it. Buddhism teaches that all emotions, even the most negative ones, can be transformed into wisdom and compassion. For example, when we feel anger, we can choose to use that energy to fuel positive action instead of letting it burn us out. When we feel fear, we can choose to face it with courage, knowing that it is often based on illusions, not reality. This transformation happens gradually, but it begins with the understanding that negativity does not define us. It is simply a passing experience, like the weather. And just as the weather changes, so too can our thoughts and emotions. With practice, we can replace negativity with more positive, peaceful states of mind. The more we cultivate this awareness and mindfulness, the more natural it will become to respond to life with clarity and compassion, rather than with fear, anger, or frustration. To truly understand the root of negativity, we must also recognize that our minds are not static. They are constantly changing, just like the seasons. The more we practice awareness, mindfulness, and compassion, the more we begin to shift the patterns of our thoughts and emotions. Negativity will still arise from time to time, but it will no longer have the same power over us. We will have the tools to face it, understand it, and transform it into something more peaceful and positive. The next time you feel negativity creeping in, remember that it is not your true self. It is simply a result of your attachments, fears, self-criticism, and ignorance. It can be untangled with awareness and transformed with compassion. You have the power to choose how you respond to your thoughts and emotions, and with practice, you can train your mind to be more peaceful, clear, and free of negativity. By recognizing the root causes of negativity and learning how to transform them, you begin the journey of freeing yourself from the endless cycle of suffering. You start to realize that peace is not something you need to chase, but something that is already within you, waiting to be uncovered. And as you continue on this path, the negativity that once seemed so overwhelming will begin to fade, leaving room for a brighter, more positive outlook on life. Mindfulness, the power of present awareness. Imagine for a moment that you're walking through a beautiful forest. The sun is shining through the trees, the air is fresh, and you can hear the gentle rustle of leaves in the wind. Now, imagine that your mind is constantly pulled away from this peaceful moment, thinking about something that happened yesterday, worrying about what might happen tomorrow. This, unfortunately, is how many of us live our lives. Our minds are almost never fully present. They are caught up in the past or the future, missing the beauty of the here and now. But what if we could change this? What if we could train our minds to be fully present, fully aware of the moment we are in. This is the essence of mindfulness, and it's one of the most powerful tools to remove negativity from our minds. Mindfulness, at its core, is the practice of paying full attention to what is happening in the present moment without judgment. It's about being aware of your thoughts, feelings, and surroundings without getting lost in them or reacting automatically. It's like standing in the middle of the forest and truly experiencing every leaf that falls, every bird that sings, every breeze that passes. It's a simple yet profound way to connect with the world around you, and it can help you break free from the constant mental noise that fuels negativity. When you practice mindfulness, you start to notice how often your mind drifts away from the present moment. You might start thinking about something that went wrong yesterday, or worrying about something that might go wrong tomorrow. These thoughts can quickly spiral into negativity. But mindfulness teaches you to recognize these thoughts as they arise, and to gently bring your focus back to the present moment. It's like catching yourself before you fall into the trap of negativity, and instead, choosing to stay grounded in what is real and immediate. This is important because negativity thrives in the past and the future. In the past, we dwell on mistakes, regrets, and things we can't change. In the future, we worry about what might happen, often imagining the worst-case scenario. Both of these mental states fuel anxiety and negativity. But the present moment is where peace and calm exist. By practicing mindfulness, we can break free from the grip of the past and future and experience the peace of simply being. But how do we practice mindfulness in our daily lives? It's not as complicated as it might sound. One of the simplest ways to start is by focusing on your breath. Take a few deep breaths and notice the sensation of the air entering and leaving your body. Pay attention to how your chest rises and falls with each breath. This simple act of awareness can help calm your mind and bring you into the present moment. The key is to stay focused on the breath, and when your mind inevitably starts to wander, gently bring it back to the breath without any judgment. You can also practice mindfulness during your daily activities. Whether you're washing the dishes, walking down the street, or even eating your lunch, try to do it with full attention. Notice the sensations, the sights, sounds, and even the feelings that arise. When you focus fully on the task at hand, you stop the endless cycle of negative thinking that often runs in the background of our minds. Mindfulness also teaches us to observe our thoughts and emotions without identifying with them. This is a powerful lesson in reducing negativity. Most of us think that we are our thoughts. If we're thinking something negative, we believe we are negative. But mindfulness helps us to see that thoughts are just thoughts. They come and go. They don't define us. When we observe our thoughts from a distance, we can see that negativity is just a passing cloud in the sky of our minds. It has no real power unless we give it power. In Buddhism, mindfulness is closely linked to the concept of right effort. This means making a consistent effort to cultivate positive states of mind and to let go of negative ones. It's about finding balance. We don't try to forcefully push away negative thoughts, but rather, we gently let them fade by focusing on the present moment. It's like holding a glass of water. If you keep your grip tight, it becomes heavy and tiring. But if you loosen your grip, the water flows freely and the glass becomes lighter. Similarly, when we stop clinging to negative thoughts and allow ourselves to be present, we experience mental freedom. When we bring mindfulness into our lives, we also begin to develop a deeper sense of self-awareness. We start to recognize the patterns of our thoughts and emotions. We begin to see how our negative thoughts are often triggered by certain situations or past experiences. For example, you might notice that when you're feeling stressed at work, your mind tends to focus on all the things that could go wrong. Mindfulness helps you see this pattern without judgment, allowing you to choose a different response. Instead of spiraling into negativity, you can choose to breathe, to refocus, and to approach the situation with a clearer mind. One of the most profound aspects of mindfulness is that it helps us cultivate compassion, not just for others, but for ourselves as well. Many of us are our own harshest critics. We beat ourselves up for past mistakes or judge ourselves for not being perfect. But mindfulness teaches us to approach ourselves with kindness and understanding. Instead of focusing on our flaws, we learn to accept ourselves as we are, right here and right now. This self-compassion is essential in letting go of the negativity that often arises from feelings of inadequacy or guilt. Mindfulness can also help us break free from the cycle of negative self-talk. Negative thoughts like, "I'm not good enough," or "I'll never succeed" can be powerful, but they are often based on false beliefs. When we practice mindfulness, we learn to observe these thoughts without attaching to them. We realize that they are just thoughts, not truths. This realization is incredibly freeing, as it allows us to stop identifying with negativity and instead choose more empowering thoughts. But the true power of mindfulness lies in its ability to transform our relationship with our own minds. By practicing mindfulness, we begin to create space between our thoughts and our reactions. We learn to respond to situations from a place of calm awareness, rather than reacting impulsively out of habit. This shift in perspective can be life-changing. It allows us to approach challenges with clarity and peace, rather than with fear and negativity. To truly master mindfulness, it's important to be patient with yourself. The mind can be stubborn, and it's natural to slip back into negative thinking from time to time. But with practice, mindfulness becomes easier. Over time, you'll find that your mind naturally returns to the present moment more often, and that you're able to catch negative thoughts before they take over. In the end, mindfulness is not just a technique. It's a way of life. It's about living with intention, paying attention to what truly matters, and letting go of what no longer serves you. By embracing mindfulness, you can begin to clear away the negativity that clouds your mind and make space for peace, clarity, and joy. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes, and the more your mind begins to reflect the peaceful, positive nature that lies within you. Through mindfulness, you unlock the ability to live more fully in the present moment, free from the chains of negative thoughts that hold you back. So, take a deep breath, bring yourself into the moment, and let go of the negativity that no longer serves you. The Four Noble Truths, recognizing and resolving suffering. Let us take a step back and look at the foundation of Buddhist wisdom, which is rooted in the Four Noble Truths. These truths form the core of how to understand and overcome the suffering and negativity that plague the mind. At the heart of it, Buddhism offers a simple yet profound way to deal with the pain and frustration that many of us carry in our lives. The first noble truth: life involves suffering. We begin with the understanding that suffering is a natural part of life. Suffering is not just about physical pain, but also the emotional and mental struggles that we face. It's the frustration we feel when things don't go as planned. It's the sadness of loss, the anxiety about the future, and even the dissatisfaction we feel when we're stuck in negative thought patterns. The Buddha said that suffering is inevitable, but it is not permanent. It's part of being human, and we all experience it in different ways. The more we resist it, the more it weighs us down. If you're feeling overwhelmed by negativity, it's important to acknowledge that these feelings are part of the human experience. In fact, trying to escape suffering often leads to more suffering. By simply accepting that life is full of ups and downs, we free ourselves from the constant battle against it. The second noble truth: the cause of suffering. Now, we look at what causes this suffering. In Buddhism, the second noble truth explains that suffering arises from craving and attachment. We constantly want things to be different than they are. Whether it's desiring material things, wanting people to behave in a certain way, or expecting life to be easy. This craving creates a sense of lack, and when we don't get what we want, we suffer. This desire isn't always about big things. Even small, everyday desires can lead to frustration and unhappiness. For example, when we constantly crave approval from others or need things to go perfectly, we set ourselves up for disappointment. We're attached to how things should be, and when reality doesn't match our expectations, we feel discontent. Buddhism teaches us that it's not the objects of our desire that cause suffering, but our attachment to them. If we can let go of our cravings, we start to release the hold that negativity has on our minds. The third noble truth: the end of suffering. The third noble truth offers hope. It shows us that suffering can end. It's not about wishing it away or pretending that life is without hardship, but rather, it's about letting go of the causes of suffering. If craving and attachment are the roots of our suffering, then by relinquishing them, we can begin to free ourselves from this cycle. In practical terms, this means accepting life as it is without constantly needing to change it. It means recognizing when we're holding on too tightly to a particular outcome and choosing to let go. For example, if you're struggling with a negative thought or emotion, rather than clinging to it and allowing it to control your mood, you can recognize it, understand it, and then release it. This is the first step toward ending the cycle of suffering. The process of letting go doesn't mean you stop caring about things or that you live without ambition. It simply means you no longer allow your happiness to depend on the constant fulfillment of your desires. Instead, you find peace within yourself, regardless of external circumstances. The fourth noble truth, the path to the end of suffering. The Buddha's fourth noble truth outlines the way to end suffering, the Noble Eightfold Path. This path is not a one-time fix, but a lifelong practice. It's a guide for how to live in a way that leads to greater peace, understanding, and freedom from negativity. The Eightfold Path is divided into three main categories: wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline. Let's look at each of these in simple terms. Right understanding. This is about seeing the world as it truly is. It means understanding the Four Noble Truths and realizing that life is impermanent. Nothing lasts forever, and things will always change. When we accept this truth, we stop clinging to the idea of permanent happiness or success. We become more flexible and open to life as it unfolds. Right intentions. This step is about cultivating positive intentions. It's not enough to just avoid negative actions. We must also focus on developing kindness, compassion, and a sincere desire to live a peaceful life. Right intentions involve cultivating a mind that is free from hatred, greed, and delusion. Right speech. What we say has a profound impact on our own minds and the minds of others. Right speech involves speaking truthfully, kindly, and wisely. It's about avoiding harmful words like gossip, lies, or harsh criticism. When we speak with compassion, we not only help others, but also create a more peaceful mind within ourselves. Right action. Our actions should be guided by kindness and compassion. Right action means living in a way that doesn't harm others, whether it's through physical actions, words, or even thoughts. It's about acting in alignment with our values and treating others with respect and care. Right livelihood. This is about choosing a way of earning a living that does not cause harm to others. It's about being mindful of how our work impacts the world around us. Right livelihood helps us to live with integrity and avoid engaging in practices that contribute to suffering. Right effort. Right effort involves cultivating a positive mind and diligently working towards mental clarity and peace. It means putting in the effort to overcome negative tendencies, such as laziness or distraction, and developing habits that support a peaceful, focused mind. Right mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present in the moment, without judgment or distraction. By developing mindfulness, we can become more aware of our thoughts, emotions, and actions. This awareness allows us to catch negative patterns early and change them before they take root. Right concentration. Right concentration is the practice of focusing the mind. It's about developing the ability to concentrate deeply on one thing at a time. This could be through meditation, or simply practicing being fully engaged in whatever task is at hand. The more we strengthen our concentration, the less room there is for negativity and distraction to take over. The Noble Eightfold Path isn't a quick fix or a magic solution to life's challenges. It's a lifelong journey of self-awareness, growth, and transformation. As we walk this path, we gradually start to remove the negativity that clouds our minds and hearts. We develop a more peaceful, joyful, and meaningful life. The Four Noble Truths are not just abstract concepts. They are practical tools that can change how we approach life's difficulties. When we understand suffering, recognize its cause, see that it can end, and follow the path to freedom, we begin to see the world in a new light. We can face challenges with a calm mind and a peaceful heart, knowing that we are not bound by our negative thoughts. Through this understanding, we take our first steps toward removing the negativity from our minds. By incorporating these teachings into our daily lives, we create a lasting foundation of inner peace. The Eightfold Path, a blueprint for positive thinking. In the search for peace and happiness, one of the most powerful teachings in Buddhism is the Eightfold Path. This path is not a set of distant, abstract ideas. It's a practical guide that can help you transform your daily thoughts, words, and actions. The Eightfold Path is a map that leads us away from negativity and toward a life of wisdom, compassion, and clarity. But how does it work in real life? To begin, let's break it down. The Eightfold Path is made up of 8 interconnected principles, and they can be divided into 3 main categories: wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline. Think of them like the steps of a ladder that guide us toward a more positive and balanced way of living. Right understanding, wisdom. The first step on the path is understanding the true nature of life, including the reality of suffering, impermanence, and non-self. It's about seeing things clearly, without illusions or attachments. Most of us experience suffering at some point in our lives. Whether it's through personal loss, disappointment, or fear, these challenges can cloud our judgment and cause us to hold on to negative thoughts. But when we truly understand that suffering is a part of life, we begin to approach it with less resistance and more acceptance. Right understanding helps us recognize that everything in life is temporary. The difficulties we face today are not permanent. This awareness can soften the impact of negativity and open our minds to solutions and growth. By seeing the world as it is, we stop adding unnecessary layers of suffering to our experiences. This helps us live more peacefully. Right intention, wisdom. Once we understand the nature of life, the next step is cultivating the right intentions. Right intention is about having the right mindset. It's the decision to follow the path of non-harming, kindness, and compassion. Often, our negativity stems from desires, attachments, and ill will toward others. We might have hidden grudges, jealousy, or anger that cloud our hearts and minds. Right intention means we commit to cultivating thoughts and emotions that align with love and compassion. When we hold on to positive intentions, such as wanting the best for ourselves and others, our actions follow suit. We stop acting out of fear, selfishness, or hatred. Instead, we act from a place of love, understanding, and empathy. Right speech, ethical conduct. One of the most powerful ways we can spread positivity is through our words. Right speech is about speaking truthfully, kindly, and with purpose. In daily life, we often get caught up in gossip, harsh words, or even lying to protect ourselves or others. These habits can build walls between us and the people around us, and they contribute to our own inner negativity. By practicing right speech, we start to use our words to uplift, inspire, and heal. We speak truthfully, avoiding exaggeration or deceit. We choose kindness over criticism and compassion over judgment. Our speech becomes a reflection of our inner peace. When we speak from a place of understanding and love, we influence our surroundings positively and encourage others to do the same. Right action, ethical conduct. Our actions are an extension of our thoughts and words. Right action involves doing what is ethically good and avoiding harmful behaviors. In Buddhism, this includes refraining from actions that cause harm to ourselves or others, such as stealing, killing, or lying. It also means acting in ways that promote well-being and peace. Every day, we have choices. When we choose actions that are aligned with compassion and wisdom, we create harmony not only in our own lives, but also in the lives of those around us. The more we act with integrity and respect for life, the more we eliminate negativity and contribute to the overall good of the world. Our actions shape the world we live in, so it's essential to align them with the highest values. Right livelihood, ethical conduct. Right livelihood is about making sure that the work we do aligns with our values. This doesn't mean we all have to become monks or renounce our jobs. It means that the way we earn a living should not harm others or exploit the world around us. Whether we are working in business, healthcare, education, or any other field, our livelihood should promote honesty, fairness, and respect. When we engage in work that is aligned with our values, we don't feel conflicted or stressed by it. Instead, we feel content and at peace, knowing that we are contributing positively to the world. Right livelihood is about working with integrity and having the courage to choose paths that align with kindness, respect, and fairness. Right effort, mental discipline. The sixth step on the path is right effort. This is about cultivating a mindset that consistently works toward goodness and mental clarity. Our minds are like gardens. If we allow negative thoughts, emotions, and habits to grow unchecked, they can overwhelm us. Right effort is the practice of nurturing positive qualities and weeding out harmful ones. This doesn't mean forcing yourself to be positive all the time or pretending that difficulties don't exist. It means taking small, consistent actions to improve your mental habits. For example, you might practice mindfulness to notice when negative thoughts arise, then gently let them go. Or you might make an effort to practice kindness in your interactions with others, even when you don't feel like it. Right effort is about actively working to shape your mind and your life in positive ways, one step at a time. Right mindfulness, mental discipline. Mindfulness is one of the most powerful tools for transforming negativity. Right mindfulness involves paying close attention to our thoughts, feelings, and actions in the present moment. Most of us spend a lot of time worrying about the past or the future, but mindfulness teaches us to focus on the here and now. When we do this, we can recognize negative patterns in our thinking before they spiral out of control. By practicing mindfulness, we create space between our thoughts and our reactions. This space allows us to choose how we respond to challenges, instead of simply reacting out of habit. Mindfulness brings awareness to our negative thoughts and helps us transform them with wisdom and compassion. It allows us to let go of judgments and simply observe our mental patterns without getting caught up in them. Right concentration, mental discipline. The final step of the Eightfold Path is right concentration. This is about developing deep concentration and mental clarity, often through meditation. When we train our minds to focus, we gain insight into the true nature of our thoughts and emotions. Right concentration helps us see through the fog of negativity and find peace. Meditation practices like mindfulness or loving-kindness meditation can help us cultivate the ability to focus our minds on positive, peaceful thoughts. Over time, as we develop right concentration, our minds become more stable and calm. We no longer feel as overwhelmed by distractions or negative emotions, and we become more grounded in the present moment. The Eightfold Path is not something that can be mastered overnight. It takes time, patience, and consistent practice. But as you integrate these principles into your daily life, you'll start to see a profound shift. The more you apply the teachings of the Eightfold Path, the more you'll notice that negativity doesn't have the same power over you anymore. As you work toward right understanding, right intention, and the other steps of the path, remember that the goal is not perfection, it's progress. Each small step you take toward living with more wisdom, compassion, and mindfulness is a victory. By following the Eightfold Path, you can clear the fog of negativity and experience a more peaceful, positive life. Meditation techniques to cleanse the mind. When we speak of cleansing the mind, it's not about pushing thoughts away or trying to make the mind blank. The process is much deeper and more gentle than that. Meditation offers us a path to clear the mental clutter, and it all begins with just a few simple steps. The first step to effective meditation is to find a quiet, comfortable place where you won't be disturbed. This space doesn't need to be fancy. A corner of a room, a soft chair, or even a cushion on the floor will work. The key is that it should be somewhere you can sit without distractions, a place that feels safe and peaceful. Once you've found your space, sit comfortably. If you prefer, you can sit cross-legged on the floor, or you can sit on a chair with your feet flat on the ground. The important thing is to keep your back straight, but not rigid. You want to feel relaxed, but still alert. Let your hands rest comfortably on your lap or your knees. Close your eyes gently. Now, take a few deep breaths. Inhale slowly through your nose, hold it for a moment, and then exhale through your mouth. Do this a few times until you begin to feel more relaxed. Let your breath flow naturally, without forcing it. Notice the rhythm of your breath, how it comes in and goes out, how your chest rises and falls. This simple act of focusing on your breath can already help calm your mind. In Buddhism, we often refer to the breath as an anchor. It's a tool that helps bring our awareness to the present moment. When your mind starts to wander, and it will, gently guide it back to your breath. Don't judge yourself or feel frustrated. The mind is meant to wander. The practice is in returning your focus, gently and patiently, back to the breath, over and over again. As you continue breathing, start to notice the thoughts that arise. They might be about the past, the future, or even about things that don't matter. Rather than getting caught up in these thoughts, try to observe them as they pass by. Think of them like clouds drifting across the sky. They come, they stay for a moment, and then they fade away. You are not your thoughts. You are the observer of them. When negative or stressful thoughts come up, don't try to push them away. Instead, observe them with curiosity. Where do they come from? How do they make you feel? With time, you'll start to notice that your thoughts lose their power over you. This is the beauty of meditation. It helps you develop a healthy detachment from your thoughts. You no longer react to them. You simply notice them and let them go. In the beginning, you might find that your mind is very busy. Thoughts rush in, one after the other. That's perfectly normal. Just keep returning to your breath. With regular practice, you will notice that your mind starts to slow down. The constant chatter and the whirlwind of thoughts begin to quiet. One powerful meditation technique in Buddhism is called noting. When a thought arises, silently label it as thinking, planning, feeling, or whatever seems appropriate. This practice helps you become more aware of the nature of your thoughts. Over time, you'll begin to recognize that you don't need to be controlled by them. You are simply the observer. Another helpful meditation practice is called body scan. In this technique, you mentally scan your body from head to toe, noticing any tension or discomfort. As you do this, try to relax each part of your body. If you come across an area that feels tense, gently breathe into it and allow it to soften. This practice helps to bring awareness to both the mind and the body, and it is particularly effective at relieving stress and anxiety. You may also want to explore loving-kindness meditation, or metta. This practice involves silently repeating phrases that wish happiness and well-being for yourself and others. Start by wishing yourself peace. May I be happy. May I be peaceful. May I be free from suffering. Then, extend these wishes to others. Start with loved ones, then move to acquaintances, and finally, even to people with whom you may have difficulties. The purpose of loving-kindness meditation is to cultivate compassion, and over time, it helps to reduce negative emotions like anger, jealousy, and fear. If you find your mind wandering during any of these techniques, don't worry. It's natural. Just gently bring your focus back to the practice. Each time you do this, you are strengthening your mindfulness, building your ability to stay present in the moment. While you meditate, your mind may try to resist, perhaps telling you that it's too difficult, or that you're not doing it right. Don't believe these thoughts. Meditation is not about achieving perfection. It's about consistent practice. The more you practice, the easier it becomes. The key is to approach it with patience, kindness, and a sense of curiosity. Meditation can be a challenge, especially at first. You may feel restless, distracted, or even frustrated. But this is all part of the process. The more you meditate, the more you learn about your own mind. You begin to understand its patterns, its habits, and its tendencies. You'll realize that negativity doesn't have to dominate your thoughts. It's simply a part of the mind's natural fluctuations. Even if you only practice for a few minutes a day, you'll start to notice changes. The mind becomes calmer, more stable, and more at ease. You'll begin to see how the act of meditation can help you navigate the ups and downs of life with more grace and clarity. As you continue on this journey, remember that meditation is not a quick fix. It's a lifelong practice, and its benefits accumulate over time. But with each moment you spend in meditation, you're clearing away the mental clutter, reducing negativity, and moving closer to inner peace. The more consistent you are, the greater the impact it will have on your life. Meditation is a powerful tool that allows you to take control of your mind and its reactions. It gives you the ability to break free from negative thought patterns and emotional turbulence. Through meditation, you create space between yourself and your thoughts, which is where real freedom lies. Now, remember that meditation is just one part of the larger picture when it comes to removing negativity from your life. It works hand in hand with other practices like mindfulness, compassion, and right action. But it all begins with the mind, and meditation is the doorway to a clearer, more peaceful mind. So, continue practicing. Let go of the need for perfection and simply enjoy the process. With each meditation session, you are not only cleansing your mind but also nurturing your soul, preparing yourself for a life of greater peace and joy. The role of impermanence in letting go of negativity. In life, nothing stays the same forever. Have you ever noticed that? No feeling, no situation, no thought, or even the weather lasts forever. Everything is constantly changing. This simple truth, known as impermanence, is one of the most powerful teachings in Buddhism. And understanding impermanence is key to freeing ourselves from the weight of negative thoughts and emotions. When we hold on to negativity, whether it's anger, fear, or sadness, it's often because we believe that feeling will last forever. We think that the negative situation or thought we're experiencing right now is permanent, and because of that, we become stuck. We believe we can't escape it. But in reality, nothing lasts forever. And when we begin to truly understand that, we can let go of the negativity holding us back. Let's think about a difficult time in your life. When you were going through it, did it feel like you would never get through? Maybe you thought the pain, the sadness, or the anger would never end. But now, looking back, doesn't it seem like just a moment in time? The impermanence of life is why nothing stays the same forever. Everything changes, and so do our emotions and thoughts. Think about the last time you were angry. In the heat of that emotion, you probably thought it would never pass, right? But eventually it did. Anger is like a wave. It rises quickly, but it also crashes and fades away. The same goes for negative emotions. They might feel intense in the moment, but they won't last forever. This is the power of impermanence. It helps us realize that even our darkest moments are temporary. When we remember this, we can let go of the burden of negativity. Instead of holding on to anger or resentment, we can understand that these feelings will fade just like everything else. We don't need to carry them with us forever. In Buddhism, it's taught that attachment to our feelings, whether positive or negative, creates suffering. We get attached to the idea that things should always be a certain way, that our emotions should always be constant. But life is full of change, and when we embrace impermanence, we can start to release our attachment to negativity. Let's take the example of a storm. When a storm is coming, we often feel afraid. We worry about the damage it could cause. But what happens after the storm passes? The sky clears, the air becomes fresh, and we feel better. Our negative thoughts and emotions are like the storm, intense and overwhelming in the moment, but they are bound to pass. When we accept that impermanence is at the core of life, we begin to let go of our fears and anxieties. We realize they are just temporary experiences. Impermanence doesn't just apply to negative emotions. It's also true for positive feelings. Imagine a time when you felt on top of the world, full of joy and excitement. But eventually, that feeling faded too. It's the same with negative emotions. Just as happiness fades, so does sadness or anger. So, if we don't hold on to either the good or the bad, we can experience life more peacefully. Letting go of negativity starts with recognizing that our negative emotions are just like passing clouds. When you see a dark cloud in the sky, do you panic, thinking it will never go away? No. You know it will pass eventually. That's how we should treat our negative thoughts and feelings, acknowledge them, but know they are temporary and will pass in time. The more we understand the nature of impermanence, the easier it becomes to let go of negativity. We can stop identifying with our negative emotions, and instead, we can allow them to come and go without holding on to them. This doesn't mean we ignore or suppress our feelings. It means we stop letting them control us. We acknowledge them, but we don't allow them to define us. In Buddhist practice, meditation is one way to help us connect with this truth of impermanence. When we sit in stillness and observe our thoughts, we can see how they come and go, just like waves in the ocean. Some thoughts may be pleasant, others may be unpleasant, but all of them are fleeting. By simply observing them without attachment, we learn that we don't need to hold on to the negative ones. They will pass on their own. Another way to apply the idea of impermanence is through mindfulness. By being fully present in the moment, we can appreciate the temporary nature of everything. When we're mindful, we stop worrying about the past or future. We experience life as it is, without clinging to emotions or thoughts that might weigh us down. This allows us to live more peacefully, without the burden of negativity. The beauty of impermanence is that it frees us from the idea that we are stuck in a permanent state of negativity. Even when we feel down, we can remind ourselves that it is only temporary. Just as the clouds eventually part to reveal the sun, our negative feelings will eventually pass, making way for calm and clarity. When we begin to understand impermanence, we stop taking things so personally. We don't have to be defined by our anger, sadness, or fear. These are just temporary states of mind that we experience. We are not our thoughts. We are the awareness behind those thoughts. And when we realize this, we can free ourselves from the grip of negativity. So, how can we start embracing impermanence in our daily lives? One way is to practice the art of letting go. When we notice negative thoughts or feelings arising, we can remind ourselves that they won't last forever. Instead of getting caught up in them, we can let them flow through us, knowing they will eventually pass. Another practice is to reflect on the impermanence of all things. When you look at the world around you, notice how everything is constantly changing. The seasons change, people come and go, even our thoughts shift from one moment to the next. This constant change is the nature of life, and when we accept it, we find peace in the present moment. By deeply understanding the truth of impermanence, we can begin to see that negativity doesn't have to control us. It doesn't have to define our lives. We can learn to embrace the flow of life, knowing that both the good and the bad are temporary. And by doing so, we free ourselves from the weight of negativity, allowing peace and positivity to take root in our hearts. In conclusion, impermanence is not something to fear. It's something to embrace. It's the key to letting go of negativity and finding true freedom. When we understand that everything changes, we stop clinging to our negative emotions, knowing they will soon pass. And with this wisdom, we can live with greater peace, joy, and freedom from the weight of negativity. Overcoming anger and resentment with Buddhist wisdom. In our busy, fast-paced lives, anger and resentment can creep in when we least expect it. Whether it's a disagreement with a friend, frustration with a colleague, or feeling wronged by a family member, these emotions often take root deeply inside us. But what if we could understand these feelings better, and even let go of them, instead of letting them control our minds? In Buddhism, anger is seen as one of the three poisons, along with greed and ignorance. These three poisons are what cloud our judgment, harm our relationships, and disturb our inner peace. Anger, in particular, can be incredibly damaging, not just to those around us, but to ourselves as well. It causes us to react impulsively, often saying or doing things we later regret. It builds walls between us and others, and over time, it erodes our own sense of well-being. But why do we get angry in the first place? Most of the time, our anger stems from our expectations and attachments. We expect people to behave a certain way, or things to go a specific way, and when they don't, we feel frustrated or upset. This anger arises because we think we are entitled to something, or because we are holding on too tightly to how we think things should be. Now, imagine if we could let go of these expectations. What would happen if we stopped trying to control every situation and simply accepted things as they are? Buddhism teaches that attachment to our desires is what causes suffering. If we hold on too tightly to our expectations, we will always be disappointed. On the other hand, when we can let go and accept the present moment, we free ourselves from the grip of anger. One way to overcome anger is through mindfulness. Mindfulness helps us recognize when anger is arising, and instead of acting on it, we simply observe it. We allow the feeling of anger to be present without judging it or giving it more energy. We don't need to suppress or ignore it, but we can choose not to react. Just by being aware of our anger, we create space between the emotion and our response. This space is where transformation happens. For example, the next time you feel your anger rising, try to pause for a moment, close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, and simply observe the feeling. What does it feel like? Where in your body do you notice the tension? By being aware of the anger, you are not feeding it with more fuel. Instead, you are allowing it to dissipate on its own, without letting it control your actions. Another powerful Buddhist practice for overcoming anger is to practice loving kindness, or metta. Loving kindness is the act of sending goodwill, warmth, and compassion to ourselves and others. When we feel anger or resentment towards someone, we can counteract it by silently wishing them well. This may sound strange at first, but it's a practice that can gradually change the way we feel toward others. For instance, when someone has wronged us, instead of holding on to that anger, we can mentally say, "May you be happy. May you be peaceful. May you be free from suffering." Even if we don't feel these emotions immediately, simply offering this wish can soften our hearts and reduce the power of anger. Over time, This practice helps us to let go of negative feelings and create space for more loving thoughts. It's important to remember that letting go of anger doesn't mean we allow ourselves to be mistreated or tolerate unfair behavior. It's not about being passive or accepting everything that comes our way. Rather, it's about releasing the hold that anger has over us so that we can respond with clarity and wisdom. When we are no longer controlled by anger, we can act in ways that are more skillful, peaceful, and effective. In Buddhism, the practice of forgiveness is also closely linked to overcoming anger. Forgiveness doesn't mean we forget the harm that was done to us or excuse bad behavior. It means that we release the burden of holding on to resentment, which only harms us. When we forgive, we free ourselves from the past, and we give ourselves the gift of peace. Forgiveness starts with understanding that everyone is human, and we all make mistakes. We all act from a place of confusion, fear, or misunderstanding at times. When we can see the suffering in others, it becomes easier to forgive. In fact, forgiveness is often more about our own healing than it is about the other person. Holding on to anger only keeps us stuck in a cycle of pain, but letting go of it allows us to move forward with a lighter heart. It's also helpful to remember that our anger often has less to do with the other person and more to do with our own inner state. Sometimes we're angry because we're feeling insecure, unheard, or misunderstood. Other times, we're angry because we feel powerless or out of control. When we recognize that our anger is a reflection of our own internal struggles, we can start to heal from within. By focusing on our own emotional well-being, we can release the need to blame others for our feelings. A great way to practice this is to reflect on the root causes of our anger. What is it that really bothers us? Are we upset because our expectations were not met? Are we feeling threatened, disrespected, or ignored? Once we understand the deeper cause of our anger, we can begin to address it with compassion, both for ourselves and for the other person involved. Another Buddhist practice that can help with anger is developing patience. Patience teaches us to tolerate discomfort and to understand that not everything will go according to our plan. In times of anger, patience allows us to pause, breathe, and respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. When we are patient, we learn to accept the ebb and flow of life without resisting it, and this acceptance helps us stay calm even in the face of difficult situations. Finally, one of the most powerful ways to transform anger is through meditation. Meditation allows us to quiet our minds, to observe our thoughts, and to develop a deeper understanding of our emotions. When we meditate regularly, we begin to see how fleeting and impermanent our emotions really are. Anger, like all emotions, comes and goes. It doesn't define who we are. Meditation helps us create distance between ourselves and our emotions so that we are no longer controlled by them. In conclusion, overcoming anger and resentment is not an easy task, but it is a deeply rewarding one. By practicing mindfulness, loving kindness, forgiveness, patience, and meditation, we can learn to let go of these toxic emotions and free ourselves from their grip. Buddhism teaches us that our minds have the power to transform, and that by cultivating wisdom, compassion, and inner peace, we can overcome even the strongest feelings of anger. Through this process, we create not only a more peaceful mind but a more peaceful world around us. Conclusion: cultivating a lasting positive mindset. You've walked with me through this journey, step by step, uncovering the layers of your mind and understanding the deep roots of negativity. You've learned to cultivate mindfulness, to embrace compassion, and to recognize the impermanence of everything around you. Now, we reach the final part of our journey, and it's time to ask yourself, what will you do with this knowledge? Think for a moment about everything you've learned. The mind is like a garden, and your thoughts are the seeds. If you plant seeds of negativity, weeds will grow, and they will choke the life out of your peace and happiness. But if you plant seeds of love, kindness, and understanding, beautiful flowers will bloom, and they will nourish your soul. In Buddhism, we talk about the mind as being like water. When water is disturbed by the wind, it becomes cloudy, murky, and unclear. But when the water is calm, it reflects the world around it with perfect clarity. In the same way, your mind can become clouded with negativity and confusion, but when you practice mindfulness and compassion, your mind becomes calm and clear, reflecting the beauty of the world in its purest form. Now, you may be wondering, can I really change my mind? Can I truly remove all the negativity that holds me back? The answer is simple. Yes, you can. But it requires patience, practice, and dedication. Like a tree that grows slowly over time, your progress will come in small, steady steps. Do not rush. Do not expect perfection. The key is to be kind to yourself along the way. You've learned to recognize that your thoughts are not permanent. They are fleeting, like clouds in the sky. When you feel anger, fear, or sadness arise, remember, they are just passing through. They are not who you are. They do not define you. In the same way that the clouds move across the sky, your negative thoughts will pass if you do not cling to them. As you continue on this path, remember the Four Noble Truths. Suffering is a part of life, but it is not the end of the story. Through understanding, right action, and right thinking, you can overcome suffering. You've also learned that the Eightfold Path, right understanding, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration, is not just a set of guidelines, but a way of living. A way of living that can bring peace, clarity, and freedom to your mind. Your mind is not your enemy. It is simply a tool that can be shaped and trained. Just as you train your body to be strong and healthy, you must train your mind to be calm and positive. Meditation, mindfulness, compassion, patience. These are all tools that can help you cultivate a lasting positive mindset. But the journey does not end here. This is just the beginning. Every day is a new opportunity to practice, to grow, and to deepen your understanding. Every moment is a chance to choose peace over stress, kindness over anger, and gratitude over complaining. The more you practice, the easier it becomes to maintain a positive mindset, even in the face of challenges. So, I ask you, what will you do with your newfound wisdom? Will you allow negativity to rule your life once again? Or will you take the tools you have learned and continue to cultivate peace and positivity every day? Remember, this is not about perfection. It's about progress. The path to peace is not always straight. Sometimes you will stumble, sometimes you will fall. But what matters is that you get back up and keep walking. With each step, you are moving closer to a life of inner peace, joy, and fulfillment. I want you to remember one thing above all. You are not alone on this journey. There are millions of people around the world, walking the same path, striving for the same goal. We are all connected, and together, we can help each other find the peace and happiness we seek. Your journey is your own, but you are part of a much larger whole. Now, as we close, take a deep breath. Close your eyes for a moment and just be. Be present. Feel the peace that comes from simply being alive. Let go of any remaining tension, any negative thoughts, and just be in this moment of stillness. This is the essence of mindfulness. Being fully present, fully aware, and fully at peace with who you are, right here, right now. Thank you for walking this path with me. Thank you for taking the time to explore these teachings, and for opening your mind and heart to the wisdom of Buddhism. May you find peace in every moment, and may you continue to grow in love, kindness, and understanding. And remember, your mind is like the water, and your thoughts are like the clouds. Let them pass. Let the calmness return. Live with peace, live with kindness, and above all, live with love. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% subscribe. So please, like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel, Wisdom Woven. Your support means the world to us, and it allows us to continue bringing more helpful content your way. Thank you again, and may your mind be forever free from negativity.